Hello everybody, Ninjo X, the Enlightened Gamer here. Welcome back to Ninjo's Top 10s. I thought it might be an interesting change of pace if instead of simply doing a top 10 specifically about video games or areas of video games, if I would instead do it about something I've truly enjoyed for quite a while. The music in certain video games. This is the top 10 game soundtracks. But before we get started, let's get some disclaimers out of the way. First off, these are only for soundtracks in-game. Instrumental remixes and fan adaptations do not count. Second, this is all my opinion. And even though I've tried to distance myself from things like nostalgia for this one, it will still very much be my opinion. If something isn't on this list that you like, it might be that I don't like it as much. But that's not necessarily an indictment, because this list was very hard to limit to 10. And if I truly went all out, I probably could have gotten to around 200 without these limitations in place that I've burdened myself with. Second, let's be civil to one another. Different people have different tastes and different opinions, and it's fine if yours are different from mine, and if you want to say that you don't like my opinion, or you disagree, or you want to unsub, or whatever. But please don't attack each other in the comment section. Let's keep this at least a 5th grade level. Next. One of my big stipulations that I always do with top 10s that include multiple games is 1 per franchise. And that's mostly because a top 10 list with 7 entries from one franchise and 3 from others would be boring to watch, or in this case listen to, and also watch. Next, these are only from, with one exception, these are only from games that I've played. That's because a lot of times you have to have physically played the game to have heard a soundtrack legally, and also because, well, I had to limit the list to a certain amount, so there won't be anything from the Final Fantasy franchise on this list, nothing from Xenoblade or Xenogear, nothing from, well, you'll see the list. Odds are, if it's really good and it's not on this list, it's because I haven't played the game. I'm only human. I only have so much money. In fact, I have less than so much money. So there's a strong possibility that there's games on this list that you'll want to have songs from that I haven't played. That said, recommendations are always welcome. And lastly, this is a very difficult stipulation for me to put in place, but due to copyright being what it is on YouTube and not wanting to pirate anything or be a source for piracy, I'm going to be talking over the music. I'll have links to the YouTube videos that I used for the music in the description. So if you want to hear the song without me talking over it, you can do it that way. But with all that said, let's get on with it. Say what you will about Sonic Next Gen, Sonic 06. It's glitchy, there are obvious problems with it. If it hadn't been rushed to market, it would have been considerably better. But one thing that's also very true is that the soundtrack is really good. And even with an over-reliance on the His World track, it's a good enough song that I think that over-reliance is okay. This particular iteration of the song plays at the end of the game during the final boss fight. And much like games like Super Paper Mario, where everything is on the line, everything is on the line here. Granted, you're playing as Super Sonic, Super Shadow, and newcomer Super Silver, so you're going to win. But that doesn't change the fact that the stakes are ridiculous, and there's a very distinct Dragon Ball Z feel to this particular song. The Legend of Dragoon is one of my personal favorite games, and for good reason. It has a wealth of cast of characters that are all extremely likable and extremely entertaining, and it's the reason I can't play Final Fantasy games. It does everything right that those games do wrong. There's no need for mindless grinding for days and days and days, literal days in some of those Final Fantasy games. And there's no need for... The scaling is perfect. Each individual character is unique. It's so good. But onto the song specifically. One of the main characters early on in Legend of the Dragoon is Shauna. Shauna is, at a surface value, your typical heiress / Princess Peach character. She is the healer of the group, who later on becomes broken. But, unlike those two examples, especially Princess Peach, Shauna has a wealth of character, and it's captured in this song. Her character is based off of the idea, I believe, of innocence, as is her song. There's this darkness to her past that she either isn't aware of or she ignores. And she's able to get past it and ignore it, deal with it basically, because of her own innocence, of her ability to remain just naive enough to hope that things can get better. This is a bit of an odd choice, but I had to put this one on the list. Conker's Bad Fur Day is brilliant. It's filthy, it's disgusting, I should hate it, but I love it. It's the perfect South Park equivalent to video games. Chock full of referential humor, dark humor, and it's all done well. But the overworld theme you're hearing right now, Wendy and Co., perfectly epitomizes the feeling of the game. Even with everything bad that's happening, everything about this bad fur day, you still want to progress, and I think that this theme has a large part to do with that. No matter what kind of nightmare you just witnessed, you always wake up to this. It says it's a new day, it says it's a happy day, it says the sky is the limit. Another controversial choice. The Legend of Skyward Sword for many is the worst Zelda game. And by many, I mean anybody who hasn't played, most people who haven't played the CDI games. Does it require a lot of patience? No, but it definitely requires some. But the game is bent on making you feel like Link. Your shields are breakable, your inventory not unlimited. It has a very realistic feeling. And most of the bosses in this game, like in the 2D games, oddly enough, you live or die by your skills at the sword. This song is one of the very first ones you hear in the game, and for a game with a soundtrack that's what I consider the best in the Zelda franchise, this one still stands out. It was hard to pick a #1 for the Zelda franchise, though, because there are so many good songs. But what makes this one special, as I'm sure you can hear even over me, there are lyrics. But they aren't just mindless lyrics, like in a lot of the Sonic songs. They have a lot of depth and meaning, so much that they're written in the fictitious language Hylia. This could have broken this song, but the singer is able to sing the Hylian lyrics so beautifully that I don't care that I can't understand the words. And there are songs like this that are in languages you don't understand that you can still say, wow, that's a beautiful song. The best part, if you play this one backwards, it's Zelda's Lullaby. Boy, this list is filled with controversial choices. Pokémon is a storied franchise. Other than Mario, it is the undisputed champion of video games in terms of sales and the size of the fan base. Oftentimes, people forget that it's an RPG because other RPGs just don't do as well. But one thing Pokemon always lacked as an RPG was a story. Meaning beyond catching that Snorlax in red HP before it knocked out your Dragonite. Meaning beyond, hey, I have the Master Ball, I'm going to catch Mewtwo and be unstoppable for the next 10 years. Because I don't know how to learn that game. But my condescension does this song injustice. The song that you hear before and during the credits to X and Y, the first time I heard this song and I read the words, the inspirational words on the bottom of my screen, I had to leave the room that I was in. I wasn't alone, and I didn't want the people that were around me to see me crying, especially not over a video game. Even though I hesitate to call games like this games, the gameplay isn't that great, and yet there is so much more to them. This song is about acceptance. Understanding that there are people with radically different, even insane views, but that we still all have to share this world together. And wouldn't it be better if we could just sit down and play Pokemon with each other, instead of yelling at each other for supporting different presidential candidates and chewing out each other for driving slightly less good, slightly worse than each other, or for rooting for the wrong sports ball team? At the end, we're all human, and we're all stuck together. Unfortunately, I can't stop talking about this song yet. Well, fortunately, I can't stop talking about this song yet because, as you can hear, it goes on. And I'm sorry if I'm stumbling over my words a bit. I am going unscripted for this particular top 10 because I want to be able to feel the music as I react to it live. Oh boy, this one made me cry. That should be enough said right there. This world was meant to be shared. Kong 64 is a bit of a touchy subject with me. I really do deeply enjoy the game, but by that same token, there is so much that is wrong with it that fans often ignore or gloss over. Namely, the game's over-reliance on repeating mechanics and its over-reliance on those awful bonus barrels. In the first 3 Donkey Kong games, the bonus barrels were a fun diversion, but all of the games applied back to the skills you earn from playing the physical game. They didn't feel like circus funtime games. They felt like real challenges to get to these hidden away coins, or extra lives in the first one. So why Crystal Caves? Crystal Caves is the song that I eventually chose because it's a collaboration between Rare's 2 musical geniuses. David Weiss, who wrote all of Rareware's music prior to GoldenEye 007, and Grant Kirkhope, who wrote all of Rareware's music from GoldenEye on. Grant Kirkhope has a talent for layering music to make it sound more excellent, more extravagant, more incredible. And David Weiss has this knack for injecting ambience into the songs that he creates. This one is no exception. As you listen to the raindrops in the background, you can hear David Weiss's contribution, and the layering of the similar instruments, you can hear Grant Kirkhope's contribution. Both are excellent musicians, some of the best in the entire industry, and I couldn't leave this one off because of it. But what really put this one over the top of the other ones, like Frantic Factory or heck, earlier Donkey Kongs, Crackshot Croc, or Nuts and Bolts, sorry, that's the levels, Nuts and Bolts, or Sticker Brush Symphony, was the fact that the alternate version of this song is so intense that it makes this version feel much more relaxing. You can't help but relax whenever the ceiling stops caving in on you. And this is why I usually skip most of the golden bananas in the caves. Because honestly, it takes me out of the atmosphere, takes me out of the field to deal with those unfairly tough bonus barrels. And that stupid spider. Dark Cloud's localization was a mess, but the music in the game is nearly perfect. The entire game is built on the idea of love. Love for your family, love for your friends, love for your children and your parents, love for your love. So many different characters, all of the themes go back to love. Some of them being petty, but most of them being deep. Every single player character, every single controlled character in this game goes back to the theme of love in some way. And the second area of the game features a character named Goro. Goro's father went missing. Rumors were abound that he had died. Those rumors were true. Everything was taken away from him, but in this song we reminisce on why the hunter sacrificed himself. The hunter, so bold in life, feared nothing except for dying worthless, dying in his sleep. He wanted to go out in a blaze of glory, like other hunters before him had. And it was tragic when the village lost Fudo, the legendary hunter, but far more tragic than those who die is those who are left behind to shoulder the memories of those gone. There are certain songs that I believe are nostalgic. Not because we experienced them when we were young, but because they inspire and evoke feelings of nostalgia. There are some that even feel nostalgic having never played the game. Of course, I have played Mario 64 to completion in the past, but that's not why I feel so happy whenever I hear this song. It's the song itself. The upbeat nature that says this isn't the end. That says, thank you for coming, please come again. Putting this over songs that are mechanically better or have better construction, such as those in the Galaxy franchise, wasn't easy to do. But even with the limited instruments and the limited sound quality, I feel like this one is physically better. It's hard to explain nostalgia, but there are those who have mastered imbuing it. Don't you judge me. Undertale. It's one of these games that using the word game to describe it seems like a disservice. The musical scores throughout are all extremely memorable, but choosing my favorite was not hard. Hopes and Dreams / Save the World, in my opinion, is the best song in the game. And the reason it's so great isn't just because the song is great. It's because of what it means. For once in a game, we are challenged with the burden of morality, where every single character isn't just a bowling pin. Where every single facet of this game is filled with depth. More than any other I've ever played. Speaking of, I couldn't not. I simply had to. I have never played Earthbound, Mother 2. I have played Mother, but I've never played Mother 2 because I am determined that the first time I play this game, it will be on a Super Nintendo cartridge. But even having never played this game, this song and others from the game make me feel nostalgic. It goes back to the theory of Super Mario 64's credits theme. There are some songs that are constructed in such a way that make you feel nostalgia, even if there is none there. Earthbound, Undertale, these are not games. Using the word game to describe them is a vast disservice to what they are. These are art. Tried and true. And no matter how many times we play them, 1, 2, 3, 5, schmifty 7, you almost always come away with something new. Personally, I can't wait for my first playthrough of Earthbound, and only my hubris keeps me from it. But, this song is so good. This is probably the only time I'll ever put something from a game I've never played at number 1. But as I said earlier, I couldn't not. I had to. It's the best. It would be a huge disservice to not put it here. I've been Ninjo X, and I hope you all gain something from this list, if only to stay enlightened.